It is Mary Hyatt, and welcome to the Mary Hyatt Show. I am so excited to have you guys here with me today, and I have a fabulous show planned for you. I cannot wait to hop into today's content, which is all about sort of investigating and looking into how you are defining success, because sometimes, and I've been guilty of this, your definition totally sucks, and it is setting you up for a lot of disappointment and heartache and unfulfillment. So we're going to hop into all of that here in just a minute. But before we do, let's officially start the show. It is Mary Hyatt, and welcome to the Mary Hyatt Show, episode number 65. Does your definition of success suck? Y'all, mine totally did for so many years. It was like I had constructed this really terrible definition of success that was leaving me feeling completely unfulfilled, stressed out of my mind. I was in this horrible cycle of burnout where I would just go like crazy, work. I'd get to my goal, I would meet my goal, and then something would just inevitably happen. My body would take over and I would get sick, or I would have all kinds of weird symptoms, and my body was like shutting down from all of the pressure. I had adrenal fatigue. I mean, you name it, I had it. And it took me a while to kind of figure out what was driving all of this need to achieve. And so today we're going to begin to look at that and see how your current definition of success is treating you and contributing to the life that you have and what you value and what you put your energy around. And I want to make sure that we dig really deep into that, because I think it's something that is actually controlling a lot more than you realize. And none of us typically stop to slow down and ask ourselves, hey, wait a second, what is my current definition of success? But before we hop into all of that, I want to make sure that you subscribe in case this is your first time listening to the show. I want to make sure that you know that I do this YouTube live show and the podcast every single week. And I would love for you to be able to take me anywhere you go, whether that's in your car or at work or picking your kids up from school or in an airplane, wherever you happen to be. I want to make sure that you never miss an episode. So make sure to subscribe however you are currently listening to music, whether that's Google Play or SoundCloud or iTunes or YouTube. And as you guys know, I sort of made this bold move last year to get off social media, and I'm just not hardly posting on social media anymore. Every once in a while I do, but this is really the only way that you're going to know that I am coming out with a new episode. Make sure that you know about all my announcements, my retreats, my workshops, anything that I'm doing, I'm going to be announcing here on our weekly show. So definitely subscribe today, and that is a really easy way for you to stay connected to me. And while you are subscribing, I would absolutely love if you would rate the podcast. So if you are listening to this podcast after the YouTube live show, go ahead and throw me a 5-star review if you feel so inclined. And if you even want to go a step further, I would absolutely love if you would write me a personal review and maybe share some of the things that you love about the show, some of the wisdom that you get by listening to the show. And that is just such a gift to me and allows other people to connect with this, like your friends and your girlfriends and your colleagues, so that, hey, you might actually have something really exciting to talk about when you're having a drink or you're needing a little bit of a break from work. So check it out. Make sure to give me a great 5-star rating, and y'all know I so appreciate that. Okay, so let's hop into today's episode. Many of us define success through our achievements. It's sort of like we are constantly thinking about what is next. And we sort of have looked at what we're doing as measured by either money or power, having a specific amount of clients, making a specific amount of money every year. Oftentimes we can define success by what the people in our lives are doing, like maybe what our husband is doing or what our partner is doing and how successful they are, or what our children are doing and if they're able to get a scholarship or their grades. And we're sort of, measuring our own success based on what the other people in our lives are doing. And it could even be something as small as how many followers we have on Instagram, or how great our feed looks compared to other people's. We judge our success often on these sort of external markers. And I know that for myself, I can so remember the moment where I questioned my definition of success. And we're going to get into a lot of that today, because in my life, I was that way. I always defined success by my achievement. And I started, to run a farmer's market, created and started running a farmer's market at age 23. I have built a multiple six-figure income with my essential oil doTERRA business. I've coached some of the most amazing, successful female entrepreneurs out there. But even after achieving all of this, I was feeling empty inside, just so freaking empty. And it was like I had this nagging feeling in my soul that something was missing, and I was putting myself under all of this immense pressure. And when I finally got the quote unquote success that I thought it was that I wanted, it wasn't rewarding in the way that I thought it was going to be. It was actually pretty disappointing. And oftentimes I would sort of like skip past the celebration piece. I don't know if any of you guys can relate to that, where you sort of just go, okay, that was great. What's next? And you start chasing after the next achievement. And I was always on the hunt for success. And it didn't matter how much I did, how much I created. I was always feeling like I needed to do more. But there was this turning moment for me. It was so powerful because, like I said, kind of in our pre-show, I got myself to the point where I was experiencing a lot of adrenal fatigue. I had an autoimmune disease that was happening. I was exhausted. I was sleeping all the time. I was depressed. I was anxious. I was on all kinds of medication. I was in total burnout phase from this pushing. And I remember sitting on the side porch of the old house that I used to live in, and I was sitting out there on a rare moment with my dogs. It was a beautiful spring day. My dogs were sort of laying at my lap, and I was reading a self-development book. I think I was like journaling, and for me, I was like, God, this is like the sweetness of life. Like, have you ever had one of those moments that's just so simple and so sweet, and you just think to yourself, like, why the hell have I been killing myself for something that isn't even giving me what it is that I want? Like, being in that moment, fully present. I mean, I can remember the way that it smelled. I can remember the trees were blooming. Everything was starting to get really, really green. The weather was perfect. My sweet dogs were like completely calm. And I was just like, oh, a giant exhale. Like, this is really what is making me happy. And my current definition of success at that time did not include any other areas of my life except for achievement, except for my work goals, accomplishments, and it had nothing to do with the actual quality of my life. And I was only judging success by the numbers, the metrics, the accomplishments, and it became a very conditional kind of system. It was definitely, I felt like, unknowingly, it was setting me up to feel like pretty shitty most of the time. Like, when I was doing the work but not achieving something big, I felt terrible. Or it was setting me up for disappointment when something didn't go according to plan, or the numbers weren't exactly what I wanted them to be. And it set me up to value doing so much more than being. Always striving, always pushing, always needing to sort of do more, do more, do more. And so in that moment, I can remember on the porch, I had to take this giant pause and ask myself, how do I define success? Because my definition needed some like serious updating. And I even went one step further, as I typically do, because I love thinking about all of this stuff. It's so fascinating to me to explore and dive into, okay, how do our minds work and what's really going on below the surface? And I started getting curious as to how my current view of success came about. Like, I started to look at and understand, okay, why I had defined success the way that I did. Because let's be honest, this is true for all of us. You know, we're the ones setting up the rules for what is our definition of success. We created the recipe. We created the conditions. We created the formula. We created the measurement of success. Like, sure, like society has impact. Obviously, family has an important role to play in that, how you were raised, the values of your family, the belief system you grew up in, all of that contributes to what you value and how you define success. But at the end of the day, we're the ones agreeing to say, yes, this is truth for me. Yes, this is the definition of success. Yes, I want it to be that way. You know, and so I had to look at why I had created it the way that I did. What was I really after? And you can ask yourself this, what do we think that kind of success, however we choose to define it, what do we think it's actually going to give us? Because there is some kind of motivation behind it all. And I was really determined to get to the bottom of it because my current definition simply wasn't working. It wasn't giving me what I wanted. And I truly believe in most cases, there's this subconscious dialogue that's running the show and resulting in the life that we have. Like, whatever we're believing, you can kind of look at your life and go, my results, my bank account, what I value, my relationships, my health, all of that. If we, go all the way back, it starts with a thought. It starts with a belief. It starts with an agreement of how the world works. And so you may be feeling for yourself like, oh yeah, like I'm not feeling fulfilled. I'm not feeling fully alive. I'm feeling exhausted. I'm feeling burnt out. I'm feeling unfulfilled. I'm not connecting to that sense of purpose. And maybe a huge piece of that has been that you've just been measuring success in a way that isn't leading you to what you actually want. It's only being judged on a few different things. And so it's hard for you to actually feel the kind of success, that soul success that I think that we're actually all looking for. And so as I explored this deeper and I started talking with my coaching clients about it, what I found is that typically people are either running towards something when they think about success, they're trying to accomplish something, get something, gain something, or they're trying to run away from some kind of pain. And I usually would hear my coaching clients say something like, well, I got to keep up with my peers. So-and-so's doing this and so-and-so's doing that. And so I got to keep up with the Joneses. I got to do what they're doing. I got to, keep innovating and keep going and keep going. Or there's an internal feeling that if they don't make a certain amount of money or they don't have a certain amount of clients or people on their team or whatever it might be, that they feel like a fraud. They feel like they would be a failure. And so if we slow it down, and y'all know I love to do that, like let's slow it down and look at what's really happening behind the scenes. And if we kind of peel back some of these emotional layers, oftentimes we are afraid of failure. Okay, great. We know that. Like most people can verbalize, okay, yes, the opposite of success is failure. So we chase after success to avoid failure. However, let's take a little moment and peel it back a little bit further. And to me, the deeper fear is that if we feel like we're a failure or if we're not successful, however we choose to define that, then that means we are going to be rejected, abandoned, or we won't be accepted or loved. Like that's what is at stake. That is the risk that we are dealing with when we talk about success. It's not that, for most of us, it's not often that, oh my gosh, we just want tons and tons and tons and tons of money. There's a lot going on subconsciously. It's saying like, if you don't make X amount of money or look successful in the eyes of the world or however that might be, then that risks being loved. And so oftentimes success is tied to our deepest fear. I am not lovable. I am not lovable. And we start putting all these kinds of conditions on what is required for us to earn love. It's kind of like, okay, well, if I don't want to be rejected or abandoned or, risk losing love, then I got to quickly, by survival, figure out what's the recipe to make sure that I earn love, gain love, and that is certain. That I can have certain kind of love from people, from our families, from our parents. Kids learn this in school. What's required for us to be loved? Do we have to perform in a certain way? Do we have to get good grades? Whatever that might look like. And that's a form of success. And so in today's society, how we often define that is money and power. This ensures that we will be loved. And we do this practically by running towards success, achievement, accomplishment, although the undercurrent is sort of like we are trying to earn this love, this acceptance, this approval from someone. Sometimes we don't even know like who that someone actually is. And so I would love to know from those of you who are watching live with me on YouTube, or maybe you are watching the recording later, comment below. Let me know, like, when you think about this, who is it that you are trying to impress or to gain approval from or gain love from? Is it your mom? Is it your dad? Is it your spouse? Is it your girlfriend? Is it your boyfriend? Is it your partner? Is it a colleague? Is it your competition? Like, who are you doing this for? And let me just say quickly as a caveat, accomplishment and achievement is not the enemy. All right. I think that those things, working towards something, having goals, striving is really healthy and really good for the human soul. We were made to contribute, to create, to, do something with our lives. I love that. And those of you who know me personally or are familiar with the Enneagram test, personality profile, you will know that my wing is a 3, which is the achiever. So for me, I love all of that. Like, I absolutely love accomplishing. I love doing. I love creating. Like, it really, truly makes me come alive. I feel good when I'm in motion, when I'm making money. Like, making money is super sexy to me. Contributing is sexy to me. Helping people is sexy to me. Like, and I don't mean, when I say sexy, it just means I'm drawn to it. It's like, it's magnetic. I want to do it. So I think that that's a huge part of our purpose and our destiny. But my personal definition of success has had to expand. From only including achievement, I've had to broaden that and look at my whole life. And so I always am, because I'm bent towards achievement and accomplishment, I'm always asking myself, all right, where is my current definition of success? And is it giving me the result, the life that I actually want? And I know that when I'm feeling overly stressed, or if I have sort of a well that comes up of anxiety, or I'm feeling really overwhelmed, or I have a lot of fear that's coming up, typically that is coming from sort of that lower self, 2-dimensional definition of success that has all this criteria for the doing. And I've reduced this lovability game down to, okay, it's all conditional on what I create and what I accomplish. And of course, there's a lot of pressure riding on that when everything rides on my accomplishment and what I produce in order for me to feel loved. So that's kind of my clue, like, ooh, I'm feeling the stress, I'm feeling this pressure, I'm feeling this anxiety. Wait a second. It might be time to go ahead and look at my definition of success and see if I need to expand that. And so I'm always expanding it, always including more things that require that I am present in other areas of my life outside of just my work life. And I want to give you guys the opportunity to do the same. So we're going to do that here in just a minute. I'm going to give you 6 different elements to help you define or I should say create a new definition of success. But I kind of want to tell you what success looks like for me now to get you thinking about shifting your current definition. And I want to add a little color to this. I want to add a little emotion to this. I want to add a little 3D aspect to our definition of success. So I want to share with you sort of what mine is now. And this is a little bit of it's a little longer explanation so that you can see how this actually impacts all of my life. So success for me now is that when I am grounded and aligned with both the earth and the spirit and my spirit, showing up to serve the world with an abundance of love and energy from my heart. When my actions, my values, and activities are aligned with what makes me come fully alive, attracting peace, financial abundance, joy, and fulfillment. Success for me is when I'm listening to my heart and my highest self and acting in alignment with my intuition. And as I read this, see how I'm making it easy for me to achieve success. Like none of this is going to be about metrics, about numbers, about subscribers, about followers, about clients, about money. I'm using more generic words like abundance and alignment with what makes my soul come alive. And so success for me is when I am making time to tend to my soul so that I may be fully present in my relationships. That looks like practicing yoga, meditation, journaling, and other forms of self-care. Success for me looks like having an overflow of physical and mental energy, vital and radiant health. Moving my body, creating time to read, listening to podcasts, and filling my mind with life-giving truth. Success for me looks like having the emotional and the mental space to laugh, to be spontaneous, and to play. Success for me now looks like more of a sweet, simple life. One where I have time to connect and be present for the people that I hold most dear. At the end of the day, success for me is about living fully alive and thriving in my body, my mind, and my spirit. In my work, in my relationships, and in my self-care. Success is me always growing, always learning, always moving towards more love. It is not just the opposite of failure. So you can see that I have expanded this definition of success for myself to really be in alignment and harmony with my soul. Anytime I'm doing anything that is in alignment with my truest, highest self, that is success for me. Anytime that I'm fully present in the moment and with the people that I love, that is success for me. I'm making it broader, more 3D, more emotionally driven, and easier for me to quote unquote accomplish. Because there's a lot sometimes that goes into numbers and metrics and all of that. And to me, there's so much more to life than just those things, money and power. And I love this quote from Ted Hughes and sums up how I see success now. He says, "The only thing people regret is that they didn't live boldly enough, that they didn't invest enough heart, didn't love enough. Nothing else really counts at all." And that to me is what it is all about. Now, obviously I'm rambling a little bit about my definition of success, but I want you to start thinking about what it could be for you. I want you to think about, gosh, okay, it is vital for me to start making my definition of success more 3D, adding color, adding feeling, adding emotion, adding vision, rather than this kind of 2D recipe, where A plus B equals C. And A plus B is basically what I think I should be doing to make me happy. So does that make sense? I feel like that this is hopefully starting to come together and you're starting to get a little bit more curious about what it is for you. And we want to get clear and look at what is actually going to be fulfilling for your soul at the end of your life, like what is fulfilling for your soul? Because a successful business dominated by money and power does not mean that you are living a successful life. A big house, the money that we make at the end of the day isn't hitting the totality of our soul's makeup. And there is so much more that we need to consider for us to live abundantly successful in our mind, in our body, and our spirit. We have to look at, when we look at success, how can I live the good life? And what does that mean to you? What does the good life mean to you? There's this quote by Ariana Huffington, and she says, "This idea of success can only work, or at least appear to work, in the short term. But over the long term, money and power by themselves are like a two-legged stool. You can balance on them for a while, but eventually you're going to topple over. And more people, very successful people, are toppling over." I mean, you guys know that my heart, my passion, why I do this is to help you live a more full life. One where you are not just going to work 9 to 5 or creating a business where you are just tunnel vision, that's all you do. And of course, there's times where that's more true than others, right? When you're building something or you're creating something, you're going to maybe be putting more effort into something at the beginning, of course. But it's like, how can you also be successful in the other areas of your life? Where is the measurement for that? So let's take a look at how to construct this new definition of success. And so I've created 6 elements for creating a new definition of success. Now, I will say that if you're listening to this on the podcast, if you're watching the YouTube, go ahead and set some time aside. Think about a time, maybe this evening, where you can set some time aside to do some work. So I'm going to give you questions and sort of give you this framework and an exercise that I hope that you will take to your journal later. Because oftentimes when we hear podcasts or we listen to the YouTube show, it's like, okay, this is great. And we think about it right here, right now. And then we don't actually do the work. And I think that in all of life, where our action, behavior, habits lie, that's where we experience true transformation. So to really set out some time to write out the answers to some of these questions, to wrestle with this so that you actually do define success in a new way for yourself. You're not just thinking about it right now, but you actually like pen to paper, work it out for yourself. That's part of my self-care. I am always journaling. I am always like working through stuff and redefining and, going back to the drawing board and going, okay, I don't like this. What can I create? How do I want to change this? What's working? What's not working? So that's my encouragement to you as you continue this work. So the first element that we're going to look at is, what is your current definition? So the first element is your current definition of success. So think about this. What would have to happen in order for you to feel successful? What would have to happen in order for you to feel successful? So when you're writing this out, you can maybe say things like, what are the conditions on success for me? What are my conditions? Well, I have to make this certain amount of money. I have to look a certain way. I have to behave a certain way. My family has to do specific things. My partner has to do specific things. I have to have X, Y, Z. What are the conditions? And it might sound something like, I'm successful as long as I make 6 figures this year, or hit a certain rank in your doTERRA business, or save $20,000 this year, or own a home, or own this particular car, or have X amount of Instagram followers, or have X amount of clients. And so your current definition of success is most likely going to contain money, rank, status, power, image. It's typically ego driven. And we'll just hold off for just a minute on any kind of judgment towards that. So when you start uncovering your current definition of success, don't put any judgment on it. Don't put any shame on it. We're just getting curious. We have to know what our conditions are before we can shift them and decide if we want to change them. So adding judgment to the process isn't going to help. This is just like, oh, I'm just curious. Like, what are those conditions currently? What does that look like now? None of this is bad. It's just our starting place for this work. And our new definition may even include some of these things. It may, like for me, I always say, like, I make a shit ton of money. All my affirmations are about money increasing and flowing to me easily and effortlessly. I love money. I love making money. I love thinking about how to make money. It lights me up. It's enjoyable. It's not from a place of fear. It's like a game to me. It's really fun to me to get to the place of seeing, like, just how good can it get? How can I make more money? And then how can I, like, abundantly give that away to people or to causes or whatever? I love, a huge value in my life is generosity. So some of these things are going to stay, but we're just kind of getting clear on what does it look like now. And I think that you're going to find that even though some of these might stay, you're going to expand this exponentially. And so for now, we want to start to think about what is it that is true for us and our current definition of success right now. So the first element is that current definition. Now, the second element that we need in order to create a new definition is that we have to identify the cost. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Think about this for a second. When you think about your current definition of success, what is the cost? What area of your life have you been neglecting to achieve your old definition of success? What have you had to sacrifice in order to get this sort of 2D, two-dimensional kind of success? In what area are you feeling a sense of suffering or longing or neglect? Maybe in your relationships, maybe you've had to sacrifice quality time or really diving into some stuff that needs attention in your relationship so that you make that money or, get that advancement. Maybe you've been sacrificing your health. Maybe that looks like you haven't been nourishing your body in the way that it's been asking for. Maybe you haven't been moving it in the way that it has been asking for. Maybe there's a lack of sleep, kind of like pushing our bodies to the limit and not giving it, adequate rest or adequate water or just like the kindness. Like I took this beautiful bath last night for about an hour, with Epsom salts and essential oils and just like giving our bodies the things that we need, supplements and essential oils. Like maybe that's kind of gone to the back burner as we pursue this idea of success that doesn't include any of that. Maybe it's sacrificing self-care. Taking the time to slow down and to ask ourselves, what is asking for my highest attention right now? Honoring our soul, honoring our intuition, honoring our boundaries. Maybe this is probably a big one for most of us, is that our joy, our play, our sense of having some fun and laughing, like maybe that has completely, been cut out. Maybe it is our passion, our hobbies, things that we love that don't include a worldly kind of success and achievement, just things that we love to do, like painting or photography or taking long walks outside or volunteering. What's the cost of your old definition of success? Because we're assuming that it's not giving you what you want. So what is the cost? That's the second element. Before we can change anything, we got to get clear on what is our current definition, and then what is the cost? Now, the third element for defining a new definition of success is identifying your life categories. This is where we really start to construct our new definition of success. We have to define our top 4 areas of our life currently. So if we kind of want to move away from this all work, nothing else really is being measured for success, the sort of, 2-legged money and power stool, we're going to want to look at other areas of our lives. We're going to have to expand success to include the other key categories of our lives, our whole life, and get clear on where we want to feel successful. Because when we can define it and we can measure it, then we can create intention around doing the things that lead us towards that level of success. But if we're only looking at it through the eyes of our work, like what it is that we do, we're going to have a lot of areas, a lot of other aspects of ourself that are being neglected and not getting what they need. So we need to, I say 4, kind of identify those top 4 categories of your life. That could be financial, that could be relationships, that could be spiritual, that could be self, that could be physical, that could be parental, that could be something like, obviously vocational is going to be one, like what you do for your work, but avocational, the things outside of work that you love to do. So see if you can come down to 4 or 5 of those sort of key areas of your life, those key categories, and identify what those are. So when you're writing in your journal, just what's most important to me? What areas of my life are most important for me? And what kind of quality of life do I want to have in each of those areas? What kind of quality of life do I want to have in each of those areas? So the 4th element, we're just going to take this a step further. So once you've identified, okay, my top things are financial, my physical health, my financial health, my relationships, and let's say my spiritual health. Okay, let's say those are your top 4. And again, you can have more. You can have as many as you want. I just want to make it easy for you to not overwhelm you. Then what we're going to do, our 4th element, is going to be to get clear and explore our feelings, our core feelings. So for each of these categories, you're going to choose 3 top feelings that would define how it is that you would want to feel in your area, in this category of your life. So for example, let's say spiritual. I want to feel present. I want to feel open. I want to feel expansive, or I want to feel thankful or clear or focused or free or true or worthy. That's ultimately how I want to feel. Feelings are going to drive our actions, our behaviors. So oftentimes when we think about success, it's like, oh, I want to achieve this. I want to, get to the place where I'm meditating 5 days a week, or I am going to church every week, or I'm volunteering for this specific thing, or I have a consistent yoga practice. Those are sort of the actions, the behaviors, but that's secondary to how we feel. Actions are birthed out of how we feel, because our actions essentially are, the leader is the feelings. In order for me to feel present or open or expansive or peaceful, then I know that meditation is going to facilitate that, or yoga is going to facilitate that, or the community at church is going to facilitate that, or whatever it might be. And so it's really important to think about the feelings first, because then the actions will sort of take care of themselves. You'll know what to do based on, I'm looking at the feeling. How do I want to feel? So we want to identify 3 core feelings for each category. So for your spiritual, identify 3 ways that you want to feel in your spiritual life. For your physical life, for example, you might say, I want to feel sexy. I want to feel vibrant. I want to feel alive. I want to feel strong. I want to feel radiant. I want to feel rested. I want to feel grounded. I want to feel vibrant. Okay, so then we can, the actions again take care of themselves with those feelings. Or if you are in a committed relationship, maybe you want to feel connected. You want to feel cherished. You want to feel present. You want to feel generous in that relationship. How do you want to feel? Because it's actually not the goal or the achievement or the accomplishment that we're after. We're after, this is a quote from Danielle Laporte, she says, we're after what we think the goal is going to make us feel. We're after the feeling. So we're not after the 6 figures. We're after how we think we're going to feel once we've reached and earned 6 figures. We're not after the amazing, getting married, the amazing mate, getting married. We're after how we think we're going to feel once we're married, or have a successful relationship or whatever it would be. We're after the feeling. So if we can identify the feelings, it becomes really powerful because then we're motivated to move towards it, because these are going to be things that are magnetic. We want to move towards our feelings. So we want to define 3 core feelings for each of your categories: abundant, attuned, courageous, radiant, joyous, secure, alive, exuberant, deeply connected, valued, beautiful, appreciated, empowered, wholehearted, strong, spacious, free, creative, inspired, grounded, intentional, powerful, thankful, nourished, free, illuminated, worthy, affluent, whimsical, sexy, connected, giddy, courageous, luxurious, flow. These are just some ideas of some feelings that you might want to feel that you can attach to these different categories of your life. So that's the 4th element. We're going to explore our feelings and choose 3 feelings for each of these categories, because, let me get to my little quote here. As Danielle Laporte says, I only want to hit my targets if the aiming and the hitting both feel good. So for each category, you might write, I want to feel ... Okay, so let's explore the 5th element. And I love this one. And this is to define the rules. And this is where we get into a little bit more of the specifics. And this is fun because this is where we take our creative agency and attach it to this definition of success. We get to basically define the conditions necessary in order for us to feel vibrant, in order for us to feel grounded, in order for us to feel fully alive. What has to happen? So for example, if one of your categories is your relationship, in order for me to feel successful in my relationship, these are my new rules. Rig this in your favor. Make it so easy on yourself. And I think it's so great if you can come up with 3 or 4 rules that will help you go, yes, I know I'm successful when I slow down and take time to be fully present with my partner. I am successful in my relationship any time I show up with love as my intention. I am successful in my relationship anytime I set time aside to be fully present with my partner. Create these rules for yourself so that when you look at it, you go, okay, this is what's required in order for me to feel successful. This is what's required, because you already have that usually in your work, right? 6 figures, owning a home, owning a car, paying off your debt, whatever that is. So we're going to basically take that idea and intentionally create our own rules for our own happiness, for our own success, for our own fulfillment. So what has to happen in order for you to feel X feeling or Y feeling or Z feeling? Outside of just the money and the power, what would success look like for you in each of these categories? Maybe it's having time off. Maybe it's being fully present. Maybe it's being able to donate to something that's really meaningful in your life, having enough money to give. Maybe it's about paying off your debt or saving money or being able to travel more. Or anytime you're in the outdoors, you feel fully alive in your spiritual life. Make it easy. What are the rules? So you can go check it off. Okay, yes, I was successful today. Anytime, I can't remember what book this is from, but there's somebody that says, make it so easy to where it's one of your accomplishments for the day is putting on your clothes. I had a successful day today because I got dressed. I don't know if there's any other ladies out there that feel like when you take a shower and you put makeup on and you fix your hair, that's success for the day. Or I know that for me, sometimes success is actually folding my laundry because I freaking hate laundry. I hate folding my laundry. So when that happens, I'm feeling really, really damn successful. So thinking about how can I rig this in my favor and make it easy? What has to happen in order for me to feel successful in each of these categories? Create, 3 to 4 rules, quote unquote, and rig it in your favor. Make it easy. Make these rules something that are oh yeah, I got that. Easy peasy. Now I am successful. And that's letting me feel, all those feelings that you defined in the previous element. Okay, so now the 6th and the final element is to create your new definition. You're going to do the result now. What's the result? Now we're looking at, okay, we've kind of deconstructed this idea of success, and now we're actually going to put all the pieces together. If we could combine all this new wisdom that we just wrote down, what would your new definition of success for your overall life look like? How can you add more life for your definition of success? So if we kind of take, we've deconstructed it, and now we want to have an overarching sort of definition of success. Like mine was, to be in alignment with my truest, highest self, where I'm living fully alive and present in my body, mind, and spirit, right? That's my overall arching definition of success. So how do we sort of pull all of these elements, and what's at the heart of that? What's at the core of that? How can you add more life to your definition of success? How can you make it easy for yourself to hit it? How could you word it in a way that would allow you to feel excited about it? Expansive, open, radiant. How could it feel life-giving, where you'd want to move towards it rather than feeling like it was something that you should be doing? And so when you sit down to actually journal this, like that kind of result, the end result here, this definition, this new definition of success, it might be really super short. It might be a little bit lengthy, like mine. I tend to be wordy when I do this kind of work. And there's no wrong way of doing this. It can be long, it can be short, as long as it fires you up, as long as it engages your heart. This is where you want to be kind of gauging if this is right for you or not by how you feel. Does it light you up? Does it make you go, yes, now we're talking? Like, this is totally going to give me the life that I want. This is the kind of success that I want. And Danielle Laporte, she says, if you're miserable when you hit a target, then it's not really a victory. So we're not just looking at arbitrary things that sound good. They've got to actually feel good. That's got to make sense for us. And of course, my encouragement to you would be to slow down, to take a look at the conditions that you've been placing on success, and think about, what if success could look like living a life that makes you smile often? How would that change how you're showing up? Or what if success equaled always asking, what would love do in this situation, and choosing to honor that answer? What would it feel like if success meant that you were more balanced? What if success for you included play? What if success included hikes or yoga or baths or more time with your person or your kids? What if it included a nap, or doing less, or dreaming even bigger, or drawing outside the lines? You are in control of how you define success. So be intentional and rig it in your favor, my friends, because we all have different definitions of success. I'm not responsible for your definition of living that out. You're not responsible for living out my definition of success. Stay in your lane. Do what feels good, what feels right, what feels true for you, and what leads you to more joy, more happiness, more fulfillment. So define what your current definition of success is. Identify the cost, what it's costing you. Create your 4 areas of life that matter, those 4 categories of your life that matter most to you. List those out. Go ahead and list out your top 3 core feelings that you want to feel for each category of your life. Go ahead and define the rules for each of those categories. What would have to happen in order for you to feel those core feelings? And lastly, the end result, coming up with your new definition of success. So hopefully that feels inspiring and encouraging to you, that you actually have the power to shift this and to change this. And my hope is that you will take some time later today or the next couple of days to actually write this out, journal it out, and see what comes up for you, and see how you can kind of give yourself some permission and some freedom to change your own rules and conditions. All right, guys, thank you so much for being on the show today. I have thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. I will be on next week, and don't forget to subscribe to however you are listening to this, YouTube or however you might be listening to music, so that you don't miss out on any of these shows. And again, remember that the purpose of life is to be grateful, to be great, and to be full. I'll see y'all next week. Bye-bye.